Do we think that Bond has to be a man? Hi, this is Mark Kermode. Thanks for downloading this Kermode on Film podcast. We're joined once again this week by Jack Howard.
Hello there. And if you're watching us on YouTube, thanks for clicking on our faces on YouTube. As you can see, we're
in front of a tent.
Camping together, Mark and I.
Why are we camping together?
Because, you know, we just thought we'd make a weekend of it.
We're
doing a live show.
Yeah, it's like Friday. Yeah, okay, fine. We're here at the Latitude Festival, one of the country's premier festivals. We are here for
It's our third year doing this.
Third year they've asked us back.
Yeah, we just did a live show, which is what you're about to hear. We had the prime 3:30 slots.
3:30 on a Friday afternoon. It was us or Billy Bragg, and I could tell that many of the audience were convicted. Billy Bragg is still playing, incidentally. He's got a lot of songs. So it's a big, sort of open-sided tent. So you may hear sounds of the festival drifting in and out. What subjects are we going to be covering, Jack?
Yeah, so what you're about to hear is us discussing what did you call it? The midterm
report. Midterm report for films for 2025.
Yeah, and we'll be discussing our favourites, the biggest the earners of the year, the highest grossing films, with a surprise number one.
Real surprise at number one.
I didn't know. I thought I knew what number one was going to be. I did not know.
No, you got number two, but not number one. Yeah.
We're also going to be discussing Bond, the future of Bond, how Amazon now own it. Denis Villeneuve has been named as director. We talk about that and who will be the new Bond.
And there's lots of audience interaction, and we take audience questions at the end, but the audience are kind of involved all the way through. So, sit back, imagine that you are in a sun-baked field.
Yeah.
Get yourself a lukewarm beer.
An overpriced gyros.
And sit down in a pile of mud behind somebody who invariably puts a hat on just as the act you want to see starts playing. Barry Norman once famously said that in any given year, the percentage of movies good and bad is exactly the same. It just depends what you see. So I'm going to start by telling you this. The top 5 selling movies of the year so far, okay? And I want you to guess number one.
My guess of number one is Lilo and Stitch, because I just saw the news that it broke $1 billion.
It broke $1 billion. Okay, so at number 5, How to Train Your Dragon. No, not that one. The live action one, in which Gerard Butler demonstrates that he's exactly the same whether being animated or live. And everything else demonstrates that you know all those cartoons you really liked. Now we've remade them with actors. Okay?
Yeah. Just to pause on that one for a second. How are you feeling about this? Because it's been about 10 years or so now, maybe even a bit longer, of this trend of remaking classic animated films into sometimes live action, sometimes, hey, we just made The Lion King again, but we animated it more realistic and called it live action. Yes. How are you feeling about this trend now? Because it's clearly a moneymaker and audiences are going to see it, but how are you feeling about it?
I think in terms of the fact that it brings people into cinemas, that's a good thing. Cinemas have been struggling. Audiences, bums on seats is good. For everything else, I think it's the end of the world. I don't think I have ever seen I struggle to think of a live-action remake of an animated movie that improved upon it. Because animation
that's true.
Is, some of the best work being done is in animation. I mean, if you look at the films that have been released recently, you look at Flow, you look at Memoir of a Snail, Wallace and Gromit.
Yes.
There is so much great animation. I don't understand why anyone would do a live action other than for money. Do you think differently?
No, I feel the exact same way. And the first film I ever saw in the cinema was The Lion King. So
the original
Lion King. So yeah, no, I'm not that young. Yeah, the 2019. I didn't start going to the cinema until 2019. No, so I almost feel personally as well like it's like offensive, because the introduction to the cinema experience for me was seeing The Lion King, and then now seeing them kind of remake them and reboot them, and people have got many different problems for why that is. But ultimately, I agree with what you're saying, that you can't improve on what an animated film is doing by putting real people in that situation. It's not doing anything. And actually with How to Train Your Dragon, although I haven't seen the remake, apparently it's as shot for shot as you can get.
Pretty much.
Which makes it almost like the most redundant of a process. I don't quite understand it.
It's remarkable because everything that is good about the How to Train Your Dragon live action version is better in the animation, and all the new stuff is completely irrelevant. As I said, the only interesting thing is the fact that Gerard Butler does look the same in both movies, whether it's just his voice or anything. Okay, so that's number 5. Number 4 no surprise here, Jurassic World Rebirth. Okay, now that is still making money, so it hasn't finished doing it yet. How many people here have seen Jurassic World Rebirth? Okay, I want you to cheer if you really thought it was great. Okay, that is the definition. So again, a legacy reboot. I think it's well directed by Gareth Edwards, but I don't know why it's there.
Yeah, with Gareth Edwards specifically,
brilliant director.
I've always felt that he's brilliant, but the projects he makes other than his originals, like
the Creator
and Monsters. But when he did Godzilla, I came away from that in 2014, I think it was, thinking I didn't particularly like the film, but I think the star of it is Gareth Edwards because there's so much that he's. I can feel him like trying to like lift the weight higher than it can do on his own, and I feel like that's the case with everything he does, where he's clearly a fantastic director, but he hasn't quite got his hands on maybe the right projects.
I think when he does his own projects, they are the right projects. When he does the other ones, it's a matter of him just proving that he is a very, very safe pair of hands.
Yes.
And I don't think anybody else does live action and visual effects quite as well matched as he does. Okay, number 3, the Minecraft movie. Any fans of the Minecraft game in the audience? Any fans of the Minecraft movie in the audience? And has somebody got an app that just played Birdsong? I literally just heard Birdsong.
I did hear that. Like crickets.
So the weird thing about the Minecraft movie is if you play Minecraft, and I don't, I'm too old, but my son played Minecraft and I would watch it happening, and it's world building and beautiful and wonderful and fantastic and inventive, and then the Minecraft movie is Jack Black
is there
and then some characters come on and people in the audience shout hooray because that's the characters, but it's not Minecraft in any way, shape or form. Now, number 2, Lilo and Stitch.
Okay, so it's not number 1.
It's not number 1. Lilo and Stitch has passed the $1 billion mark, and I can tell you right now that number 1 has passed the $2 billion mark. Okay? So let's do Lilo and Stitch first.
Okay, so I haven't seen it.
Live action remake of an animated original.
I rewatched the original Lilo and Stitch when I heard it was coming out because I was like, I'm going to watch that one instead.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
It's wonderful. It's so. When was the last time you watched the original animated version?
When the new one came out,
right?
Because I wanted to. Because
before or after you saw it.
Afterwards.
Yeah, because you were cleansing the palate.
Yeah. Well, also because when the first one came out, because I love Elvis, and there's a lot of Elvis in the original Lilo and Stitch, and also it is completely mad. And I had forgotten how mad it was, and then I watched the live-action version and thought, well, it's not terrible. And then I watched the animated version and went, oh, no, it is terrible. It's like literally just everything that they've taken is good, and everything that they've made up isn't good. Lilo and Stitch live-action, any fans in the audience? Yeah. This is like playing to a home crowd. And you are all so on board.
Isn't that crazy? That I think that's, this obviously isn't just the greatest sort of way of taking the temperature of whether or not they're movies that are well liked or not, but it still made $1 billion. Why is that? No one seems to like it.
So why is the fact that it made $1 billion significant? Is it significant?
Well, that's what I find very interesting as well, and I'm interested to know who the $2 billion movie is, but I find lately that there's this kind of shift in the way that movies are spoken about. Like, for example, the new Superman comes out, and I'm not seeing as much conversation about whether it'll be good or not as I am seeing conversation about, oh, is it going to make enough money that DC will be able to survive? Oh, Superman has to make this much money against its budget because if it doesn't make this amount of money, it will have lost money because it spent this much money on its marketing. And I'm like, why do we all care about this? Why are we all talking about the business side of Hollywood in the same breath that we're talking about whether or not something is a good piece of work or not? Why is this conversation started to become more kind of general in terms of cinema fans, that people are too aware of what things cost, what things make? Why do we care about that? Have you noticed this shift happening?
Yes, but I think it happened with the rise of the internet. People started finding out about box office, which they never knew before. When I was a kid, in the 70s and 80s, the only way you could find out about box office was through the trade papers, through Variety. And Variety would arrive at a newsagent in the West End once a week and that's where you get your trailer. Nowadays, a movie will open on a Wednesday in America. By Thursday morning, social media is awash with how much money it took.
It made this on the first day.
Exactly. So all that has changed. So here's my question to you. If that's the top 5, and I'll throw this open to the audience, if anybody in the audience gets this, I would be surprised. 5, How to Train Your Dragon. 4, Jurassic World. 3, a Minecraft movie. 2, Lilo and Stitch. Which movie has made the most amount of money in 2025? Any guesses? No, Sinners is a very good call, but no, Sinners actually, weirdly, isn't even in the top 10. Yeah, I know, shocking, yes. Is it Wicked? No. Well done. Well done. The answer is Naja 2. Okay? You've all seen it, right? Because it made $2 billion worldwide. So basically, this is a Chinese animation which came out in January in China. Here are the records that it's broken, and I'm sorry to concentrate on box office, but it's important.
No, this is kind of interesting to the point.
So the original, the Chinese title translates as Naja, the Devil Boy Conquers the Dragon King. It will probably be reissued in an English dub, apparently with Michelle Yeoh, because of how well it's done. So it opened in January in China, best performing film in Chinese history, highest grossing animated film of all time worldwide, outselling Pixar's Inside Out 2, highest grossing non-English language film of all time, first animated film ever to take over 2 billion. It is currently, get this, the 5th highest grossing film ever.
Wow.
It is beaten only by Titanic, Avatar: Way of Water, Avengers Endgame, and Avatar. It pushed The Force Awakens out of the top 5. So the thing that's interesting is that everything about the economics of world cinema has completely changed. In the case of Superman, so how many people here have seen the new Superman movie? Quite a few. Clap if you really liked it. Clap if you just thought it was okay. Boo if you didn't like it. Okay, so once again, that's kind of, some people thought it was okay. Some people thought it was really good, and some people thought it wasn't good. I mean, that is a very, very mid-range review. Your own review of Superman was?
I said it was a perfectly adequate Superman movie.
Fine.
Like, I enjoyed it while it was on. I think I'll forget it happened in 6 months, but I think the point of this Superman movie is to reset what Superman is to culture, because the damage that was caused by Henry Cavill and his mustache and Zack Snyder's take on those characters
Zack Snyder
has done quite a lot of damage to the character and to the perception of the character. So I think this did a good job of resetting that.
When Jack and I first met, one of the things that we talked about a lot was how comic book movies play to different audiences, because obviously we talk about this as a joke a lot, but you are literally half my age. And after, was it what was the Avengers movie?
It was Infinity War. It was the one where, spoilers, they all turn to dust at the end.
Yeah,
and it's left on the cliffhanger of,
that's right.
Oh, what's going to happen now? I bet they're not going to come back. Oh, wait, no, yes, they did.
Yeah. So afterwards, we went to the pub with your mates.
Yes.
And all your friends were talking really, really enthusiastically about it, and they were really engaged. And it was great for me to see, because I had become pretty jaded by that point about any form of sort of, comic book movies. How many people here are regular comic book movie devotees?
But yeah, by applause. Let's do it by applause.
Do it by applause. Applaud. So applaud if you would basically go and see every new, so you'd go and see Superman, you'll go and see Fantastic Four, the new Fantastic Four, you'll see everything that comes out because you're interested in the genre. Boo if you would never go and see a comic book movie. See, I think that outweighs, no, and and that tells you something about the Latitude audience, which is two things. Firstly, it's lovely to see so many people who look like me.
It's nice to feel represented.
It's blokes with t-shirts, just about fit their chest, but straining around the belly, a reminiscence of a hairstyle that you once loved. Some of it's gone. But, you know, and I mean, believe me, you're my people. I love you all. That's fabulous. Thank you. So that thing that we're talking about is that those movies are playing to much younger audiences, because you're... Genuinely, how old are you?
I'm 33.
33, okay. So you're almost out of the top end of what that...
They're not for me anymore.
So have you lost interest in them?
I'm certainly not as on the train as I was when we met, which was around 2015, getting to know each other through that kind of latter end of leading up to Endgame. And what the conversation that Mark is referring to is because... there was kind of a split between people when we saw Infinity War. Some people being like, well, they're just going to bring them all back. And then my point was, yeah, but that's because you're aware of how movies work and you know there's another one coming out next year. But imagine being 12 years old and being like, oh my God, Spider-Man just disappeared and you don't know what's going to happen. And I think that's what I try and kind of keep in mind, is that I think that there will be somebody who sees Superman and is blown away by it. But I feel like I've seen quite a lot of that before. It's just one of those things. I'm just like, okay, it's not for me anymore. That's okay. Yeah. And I don't want to be like those... It's like the Doctor Who fans who could, it was better than when I was a kid. No, you were a kid. That's what happens. And I think that's what I feel about with this. Like, I was prime age when they started the MCU. And that's now longer ago than I care to admit.
Should we just test this? Clap if you think Doctor Who was better when you were a kid.
So funny. You were a kid.
Okay, so before we segue into Bond, the other thing I just want to flag up is... So there is this idea that all there are in cinemas now is remakes, superhero movies, you know, all... It's completely not true. In that period of those films that I've just been talking about, that we've just been talking about, big blockbuster movies, including the Mission Impossible films, you know, all the rest of it. Here is what else was happening in mainstream cinema this year. Nosferatu, Real Pain, Baby Girl, A Complete Unknown, Brutalist, Warfare, which is a fascinating film. In terms of independent cinema, this year alone, Hard Truths, Nickel Boys, The Surfer, On Falling, The Stimming Pool, Last Showgirl, Restless, Last Swim, The End, The Return, When the Light Breaks, Tornado, Protein, Lollipop, Hot Milk, Harvest. All of these opened in that period that people will tell you it's all just remakes and superhero movies. No, it isn't. Also, in terms of non-English language films that have performed very decently in independent cinemas at the box office include Sister Midnight, Santosh, Seed of the Sacred Fig, I'm Still Here, Superboys of Maligan, The Marching Band. I mean, it is absolutely not true that all you have is the formulaic stuff, but it's the thing about looking around to find something different. How many of you, and again I'll ask you to applaud, how many of you have a decent independent cinema near to where you live?
That's great. That's so good to hear.
And the one thing I would say to you is this. If you have a good... I mean, I live in Cornwall. I have the Newlyn film house. Sorry, I forgot the word house. I have the Newlyn film house very nearby. If you have an independent cinema near you, frequent it. You know, patronise it. And by patronising it, I don't mean go, oh, well done, you know... I mean, go there, spend your money there. Even if you're not going to go and see a film, go to the bar, go to the coffee bar, spend your money there, because you will notice and miss it if it's not there. And that is where all those really interesting films, that's where they are thriving. It's not in the multiplexes. There is interesting multiplex stuff, but it's in the independent sector that all the really interesting work is being done. And from that, I'd like to do a handbrake turn and say, I recently had Barbara Broccoli on the MK3D show. You might have heard her on the...
you made the trades.
I made the trades. I finally made it in Variety because I asked Barbara Broccoli what she thought of the fact that Denis Villeneuve is now going to direct the new Bond movie. And she said, controversially, he's a fantastic filmmaker. I'm thrilled.
Because of course you did.
I then pushed her harder. I said, but are you going to be hands-on or hands-off? She said, you know, I did it for 45 years and I loved every minute, but there's other things I want to do. So I really, really got under her skin with that. Jack, where
are you
we?
stopped? You didn't push any further?
No, that was it. Where are we with Bond?
Okay,
who's going to be the next Bond, and what's Denis Villeneuve going to do?
Just to give everyone a general update, just in case you don't know, the Broccoli's have owned Bond like a family business ever since it began in cinema. Recently, within the last 6 months, Barbara Broccoli and her half-brother, stepbrother, Michael G. Wilson, sold the creative rights to Amazon so that they don't have to have any creative control in it anymore. So Amazon are now making all of the creative decisions for Bond, and they don't have to refer to the Broccoli's. They've paid them an incredibly generous lump sum, and it's even to talk about that deal is interesting because when George Lucas sold Star Wars to Disney, it was like, here's your $4 billion, see you later, thanks very much. Whereas the Broccoli's are still... They still co-own Bond. Exactly. They just have no say in what's being made.
Can I just add one thing? That Amazon paid such a huge amount of money to Broccoli and Wilson for Bond. It suggests that they might have been able to afford tax, but I'm...
Who's to say? And so everything that we know about James Bond and how it has been ran for the last 60 years has gone out the window. So there's this kind of pattern that you've been able to follow about like, okay, so the next Bond is probably going to be somebody who's a young actor who is in maybe some theatre, has done some bit parts in some films, but he's not like a star yet. But that formula might not be true anymore because Amazon are in control and they might want the three named actors at the moment, and this always happens with Bond.
Okay, hang on, and we'll do as Jack tells you who they are. Let's see how you feel about them. They are.
These are the top three: Tom Holland, Jacob Elordi, and Harris Dickinson. Now, I do quite agree with the response there that I would find Harris Dickinson to be the most interesting choice. In my opinion, the way that Bond works is that if you're known for being some other very famous character, i.e. Spider-Man, you can't also be in the popular culture known as James Bond. So Tom Holland to me is an immediate no-go, but as I've said, the rules have gone out the window, so we don't know how Amazon are going to do it. They might just want Tom Holland because he's a star. Okay,
can I give you a possible contradiction to that?
Please.
Which is that, as we all know, the best Bond movie is On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Casino Royale.
George Lazenby was famous before Bond for being the big fry man.
Okay.
But didn't stop you liking him as James Bond.
I didn't like him as James Bond.
Oh, well, there we go. I rest my case. Okay, you know who should be in the running for James Bond?
I'm going to agree with what you're about to say.
Josh O'Connor.
Yes. I think seeing him in Challengers, I was like, oh, that's a bit of a different... That's not Prince Charles.
Yeah. No, I think he is... I mean, Harris Dickinson is an absolutely brilliant actor, but I'm not sure whether that's a Bond choice. Jacob Elordi. Where do we stand on Jacob Elordi?
He's a good actor. He's Australian, though. And like you say, George Lazenby is Australian. And Jacob Elordi being Australian... I'm like, I just feel like... Somebody said to me earlier, they're on the side of the stage right now, and I'm going to steal what you said to me, that Amazon have bought Bond, and they're kind of masquerading Britishness. They're like playing pretend of being British. And by casting somebody who's not British is to pretend to be British is probably quite an Amazon thing to do with 007.
I can't imagine what they're going to do with it. I think Denis Villeneuve is a brilliant director.
Well, yeah, let's talk about that for a second then.
Okay, fine. So tell me why you love Denis Villeneuve.
I mean, for those who don't know, Denis Villeneuve directed Arrival and Blade Runner 2049. He's most recently been directing the Dune films. I think he is basically 100% on making movies. He's never made a dud. He's fantastic, and he's definitely shoulder to shoulder with all the other greatest filmmakers that are working today, like Christopher Nolan, and making films on that kind of level. No one can really do it better. So when I saw that news that Denis Villeneuve was doing Bond, I was overjoyed, and I was also like, that's a very clever move, because all the people like me are like, oh no, Amazon's got charge of Bond. but they got Denis Villeneuve, and it's like, oh, okay, so now we can shut up about that, and we can all talk about the fact that it's in the hands of maybe the greatest living blockbuster filmmaker.
Are we excited about Bond still?
It just doesn't go away. I don't know why it doesn't go away, but it doesn't. I'm still. Are you not? Are you not excited about it?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say because firstly, I thought No Time to Die was actually terrific. But before I saw it, I was really fed up.
Yeah, so was I.
Because it had been finished for such a long time.
There was so much time to die.
There was so much, exactly. And they were going to release it in cinemas, and then they didn't. And there was a time when cinemas really needed blockbuster movies to help them through COVID, and they didn't. They held back No Time to Die, and I thought that was a very bad move because I thought, Bond being the saviour of British cinema, whatever else you think about it, would be great if it opened, and they didn't. They pulled it back. So yeah, I was kind of cross with it, and then I saw the film and I thought it was really good. I do think Daniel Craig is my favourite Bond. I think he's yeah. And we have to remember that when Daniel Craig got the role, all the news stories were he's too blonde to be Bond. He can't be Bond because he's got blonde hair. To which the answer is, you can dye his hair, or you can just grow up and get a life. Your favourite Bond?
It's Daniel Craig, yeah. I grew up with the Pierce Brosnan Bonds, which are a mixed bag, but they have their place. And I think Brosnan, when I picture Bond, I picture Brosnan. But I think that how he's played, I think Daniel Craig is the best.
Okay.
He's the best one.
So if you could have anyone at all play James Bond, and if you have a good suggestion, put your hand up. We'll run a microphone to you. Who do you think would be best for James Bond? This gentleman here. Wait until we get the microphone to you so we can get it for the podcast. Charlotte?
Idris Elba.
Idris Elba.
He's...
Now, but here's the thing. So Idris Elba has been in the frame. They were talking about Idris Elba. Yes. So
he's too old. He's too old to be Bond. Think about he's like, what is he, like 50 or something? Like... They need Bond to be Bond for at least 10 years. So they need to be hiring somebody who's about 30. You remember, Daniel Craig was like 31 when he was cast.
How old was Roger Moore when he first...
That's fair, but that was also the 70s.
Well, yeah, but also, by the time Sean Connery did Never Say Never Again, he could barely speak. He could like, so... Can we run it to the up there? Okay, so...
Idris Elba is obviously a favourite. There's another name that comes up again as well, which is Henry Cavill. But I think he's also boring as hell.
Yeah, he's not the world's most exciting person. Yes.
David Mitchell?
David Mitchell? It's out there. I'd watch it.
Yeah, but you slow down for car crashes, so
Denis Villeneuve directs David Mitchell.
Yay! Okay, here we go.
Florence Pugh.
It's got a great last name for being Bond.
So two things. Do we think that Bond has to be a man? Okay, so let's do it. Let's just do a. Okay. So clap if you think Bond has to be a man. Clap if you think Bond could be a woman.
That's interesting.
Wow.
Because the character of James Bond, he's a misogynist. That's kind of who he is. Like, he's a drunken misogynist assassin. And like, if you want another character, I feel like, well, we should just make another character.
Well,
I don't know. Like, I'm not against the idea of any of that kind of stuff, but to me, I'm just like, well, then it's not the character anymore.
Women can be misogynist too.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Oh yeah, I thought the perfect suit and the British accent of Aaron Taylor-Johnson in Bullet Train was fantastic.
Okay, so Aaron Taylor-Johnson,
he's a favourite.
He has been mentioned in Dispatches, hasn't he? Okay,
and he keeps playing it. He flirts with the press. Like, everyone's like, "What are you working on next?" And he keeps going, "I can't talk about it," and then walking away. And he is a fantastic actor. I think he's always brilliant, but I also just think just in terms of the old rules of Bond, I feel like he's too famous. I feel like he's already had so many like big movies.
All right, so shall we test the crowd? We'll do the names and you applaud if they are your choice, all right? So, in order, Who was for the first of your three?
Of the ones
Of
that
the
have been
three
named
yeah.
is Tom Holland. Good.
He's gone. He's not happening at all.
Jacob Elordi. Got some Euphoria fans in.
Yeah.
And then there was who was the last
Harris
one? Harris Dickinson. Interesting choice.
Aaron Taylor-Johnson. Josh O'Connor. Florence Pugh.
Maybe it's time then. Maybe
I think
I'm
we have
wrong.
an answer, ladies and gentlemen. Florence Pugh is going to be the next James Bond. Can I just quickly, before we sort of throw this open to audience questions, I'm aware that time is running away from us. Are there any horror movie fans in the audience? Okay. Just also doing this kind of, I think there have been other interesting movies released this year. In terms of horror, the horror releases this year include Hallow Road, which scared the life out of me. The Monkey, which I think is terrific.
I love Osgood Perkins. I loved his film last year, Long Legs.
Fantastic.
I thought it was unbelievably good.
Fantastic. The Shrouds, which is the David Cronenberg movie, might not quite qualify as horror, but it's The Shrouds. Companion.
Yes, I thought that was so much fun. I think I
Absolutely.
did exactly what it needed to do.
M3 2.0. Dangerous Animals, which was a film made by somebody who saw Jaws and thought, that's great, but it hasn't got enough serial killers in it. The winner of this year's award for It Does What It Says on the Tin, Clown in a Cornfield.
What's that about?
It's about... Literally, it's about a clown in a cornfield. And 28 years later.
28 years. By
Now,
applause, who's seen 28 years? It's my favourite film of the year so far. It's 28 years later.
Tell me what you love about it.
I found it so refreshing. It was not at all what I thought it was going to be. I could feel that it was just, obviously written by Alex Garland and directed by Danny Boyle, but to me it was like, a person made this film, not a committee. I could feel Danny Boyle swinging for the fences with every single decision he made, whether that was how he was telling the story, what the story actually was, the kind of the angles he was using, the fact that he shot it on a phone, like all of that sort of stuff, I thought was great. And I just thought it was incredibly bold filmmaking, and most of all, emotionally, it completely floored me. Like, I thought it was one thing when I started it, and at the end of it, there were literally tears streaming down my neck.
Tears streaming down your neck. You were
They've
crying.
gone so far.
You were crying from your gills.
I told you not to tell anyone that I have
You're like
gills.
Kevin Costner in Waterworld. That was always the big issue with people. Say, why did Waterworld do badly? You go, here's the elevator pitch. Kevin Costner is a fish. So 28 years later, so a lot of you have seen it. Did you all get the end? Is there anybody who saw the end, thought, I have no idea who that was meant to be, and then afterwards somebody went,
it's...
okay, there's just no way of getting around this. So 28 years later is now it. Actually, enough people have put their. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I literally saw. I'm not going to do it. I saw you put your fingers in your ears so enthusiastically that I'm actually not going to do it.
Yeah, we
just
won't
because
do it.
of that.
Okay, we won't
do
spoil it. But basically, it's been a controversial decision.
It has, and it sets up the next movie, which, according to Danny Boyle, the next movie is about the nature of evil. And if the next movie does well, because 28 years later has done well,
yes.
If the next movie does well, they will make the third part, which is about the nature of redemption.
Yeah, and this one apparently was about the nature of family.
The first one.
The first one.
So
28 years is about the nature of family.
So family, evil, redemption. Are we all excited about the next movie, bearing in mind how the movie we just saw ended?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I am really up for it.
Yeah, me
I
too.
am so excited about it.
Did you? Because you know what I mean, though, about like how it's Danny Boyle swinging for the fences. Like,
Yeah.
It's such bold filmmaking, and I thought all of it worked.
No, I thought it was terrific.
And there's a plot point in it that, again, I won't spoil, but the reason why I was crying from my gills, as you said, that is hard to pull off. Like the reason why that bit is so emotional is quite a delicate thing that happens that they managed to get away with quite simply. Yeah. And I don't think it is simple to pull that off.
Yeah.
If people have seen it, they know what I'm talking about. It's a very emotional moment.
Now, Jack, I'm aware that it's 1:15 and we've got 10 minutes
Okay.
left. Would anyone like to ask any questions? Yeah, here.
Immediately.
Here, and then we'll come to the lady there. So let's go here.
I very briefly want to say, because 13-year-old me would never forgive this, Jack, the work you did with Dean Dobbs and Tim H and Sammy Paul and all that really formed a massive part of my sense of humour and my taste in things.
Well, thank you very much.
Can I just say before you go on, because you won't have seen this, 2 rows behind you, a gentleman in a hat went,
Well, that it means a lot, so thank you very much.
A film that came to mind, which I don't think you mentioned, particularly when you're talking about box office and things like that, was Mickey 17.
Yep.
And there was a really big conversation, I remember, about the numbers it did and about how Bong Joon-ho's new film it's
flopped.
It's flopped. And I think cinema's in this very funny place where it feels like you can have big box office-y films or you can have art house films.
Okay. Great. I'm going to stop you there just because I want to get some other questions in. Jack, do you want to respond to that?
Well, I agree, kind of based on what you were saying earlier about like, films aren't all superheroes. There are also these ones. But I think there is a mourning of when Hollywood would actually make big movies that weren't also in those kind of genres. And I think Mickey 17 and Sinners, for example, is like another one that is like trying to do something a bit different and hoping that audiences will come to it. And I had, a year ago to probably the day when we were at Latitude, I had a real problem with The Fall Guy, which everyone was saying like, this is going to be like a new original movie, even though it's based on a TV show. Yeah. It's going to be like this new big comedy that everyone can go and see. And I was like, yeah, but it's not good though. So like, it's not like it's this or nothing. And I really loved Sinners, but I didn't really like Mickey 17. And it felt like Bong Joon-ho had the film messed with. Like, it didn't feel like it was, like, with the fact that there was a voiceover in it, I was like, I don't think this was probably going to be the plan to begin with. But I think it is really interesting that, like, the film isn't spoken about by usually the quality of the movie, but that one, it's like, yeah, Bong Joon-ho's new movie has flopped.
Yeah.
And it's not really about, like, well, what did you think of it, though? Like,
it was like only $90 million, which is one of my favourite phrases of the year, only $90 million.
Oh,
let's take a question
only 90 million.
From over there, and the lady
in the green.
The lady on the throne.
How does the worldwide box office top 5 compare to the UK top 5? And what do you think is going to be the biggest film in the UK in the next 6 months?
Well, the answer in terms of worldwide box office and UK box office is they are oddly comparable with strange anomalies. So, for example, Naja 2 is not one of the biggest selling movies in the UK. It went in at number 2 for 1 week, wasn't it? There was 1 week. There was something else, some big blockbuster that was ahead of it, but it had a very brief spike. So it did well. It took over 1 million. It did well, but then it disappeared. So the sort of the big blockbusters still do dominate. And this is why I always say when people say film critics affect box office, no, they don't. If they did, Transformers movies wouldn't be top of the charts. Pirates of the Caribbean movies wouldn't be top of the charts. It just wouldn't happen. In terms of what's going to be big for the rest of the year, I have no idea. And one reason I have no idea is because I try not to know what's coming out by not watching trailers and not reading the trades. So that often means that I knew nothing about Sinners before I walked in to see it. I don't think I even knew who it was directed by. I didn't know anything about Hollow Road, which is one of my favourite films. Jack is slightly different because Jack is a filmmaker. Jack has incidentally made a really brilliant short called Second Time Around, which is currently playing in film festivals, and I think it is very, very likely that it's going to get major nominations next year. So if you come to Latitude next year, he's not going to be here because he's going to be off being famous. So this is the last time that we've got him. Jack, what do you think is going to be big for the rest of the year?
Well, firstly, thank you. I just had somebody thank me for the work I made when I was younger, and you're currently talking about the work I just made, so this is quite a bizarre situation to be in. But I was thinking about that question while you were speaking, and I kind of agree. I don't know what's coming next that I think is going to be huge. I can only tell you that I am so excited for Paul Thomas Anderson's new film, One Battle After Another.
Yep. Which is based on it's a Pynchon, isn't it?
I don't know. I don't know if it's based on anything.
I think it is.
Okay.
But I may be wrong. I may be talking absolute rubbish.
If
It's a Paul Thomas Anderson film, and it's got a soundtrack by Johnny Greenwood.
Of
course. I know it's got a soundtrack by Johnny Greenwood because I asked him if he had time to give me a quote for my new book, and he went, "No, I'm really busy on the Paul Thomas Anderson film."
It's got Leonardo DiCaprio in it, and it looks brilliant, and so original and different. And if you haven't seen a trailer for it, maybe be like Mark and don't, but I can't resist that kind of stuff. And a film that I saw a few months ago when I was out in America that is only just landing here in the UK that you've just recently reviewed is Friendship.
Oh yeah.
If you've heard of a show called I Think You Should Leave, which is a big sketch show on Netflix, it's kind of like that. It's got that kind of wackiness, but it's a lot darker and a lot more off-kilter than I was expecting. I was kind of expecting each scene to be its own little sketch, but it's not. It's a lot more of a weird, like the Cable Guy or something. It's kind of a bit darker and weirder. I really liked that.
I thought
film.
it was amazing, but I thought watching it was one of the most painful experiences I've had in the cinema recently. Not least because, well, firstly, because it made me realise that my prejudice against Paul Rudd is completely unfair, and actually he is kind of brilliant. But also because I thought, because the guy who the main line is Tim Robinson.
Tim Robinson, yes.
I thought it was Tim Robbins. So I said to my child who was in the audience, I said, I'm going to go and see the new Tim Robbins. I said, I'm going to see Friendship. He said, oh, I'm really excited about that. I thought, why? Do you really love Shawshank Redemption? And he went, Tim Robinson's not in Shawshank Redemption.
Okay, I've got 2 questions, but I'm going to do it really, really quick.
Make it quick.
First of all, I love Wes Anderson. He's my favourite director of all time. The Fencing Scheme came out this year. I don't know if either of you've watched it.
I have.
I made my dad watch it.
Yeah.
Even he, who doesn't really like Wes Anderson films, he loved it. He's over there somewhere.
Okay.
Why have you not spoken about it? I love it.
I have.
It's so good.
I hated it.
No! And second of all, Happy Gilmore 2 came out on Netflix today.
Did it?
It did. Oh, are you too excited? Do you think it's going to be terrible?
Yeah, it's gonna be awful. It's gonna be so bad. It's gonna be so bad. But I can't wait to see it. And I hope it isn't. I hope it's great, but I don't think it's gonna be. I don't even think the first Happy Gilmore was very good. I haven't seen the Phoenician Scheme. Why do you hate it?
Because, well, here's the thing. Firstly, I can't do what you just did about saying something is going to be terrible because I haven't seen it. Because professionally, I'm not allowed to. The Phoenician Scheme. Here's the thing. I like some Wes Anderson, and I don't like some other Wes Anderson. I think The Phoenician Scheme is the most Wes Anderson I have ever seen in one movie, and I literally wanted to punch the screen. No, I'm sorry, but I know. Here's the weird thing. I did a show with Ben Bailey Smith, right, who went in feeling as I do. You know the Wes Anderson thing about a Wes Anderson outtakes reel, right? Of Wes Anderson bloopers would be somebody sitting at a desk and a pencil is slightly out of place, and everyone going, "It's so funny," but I know that I'm in the minority because Ben laughed all the way through the film. Is that 2 minutes or 2 questions? 2 minutes. Right, one more question in that case.
It's not a question. I watched Megalopolis and it was awful.
Yes.
But it was worth watching, just seeing your review. I loved it. The 2 hours of my life I will never, ever, ever get back.
None of us will.
Pretentious, awful. But thank you for your review. It was spectacular and made it worth watching.
Well, that's very kind of you. Thank you.
I recently said to Mark it was nice to see that kind of return back to a classic Kermode rant.
I will say this. As you get older, it becomes less interesting to tell people what you really hated. But in the case of Megalopolis, I mean, honestly, I felt like pouring petrol over myself and setting fire to myself in the cinema just to stop the movie happening. There's a Vincent Canby review of Heaven's Gate, and I think it is one of the greatest reviews I've ever read, and it says watching Heaven's Gate is like taking a forced 4-hour walking tour of your own living room, and that's what Megalopolis felt like. And I will end with the greatest film critic, in my opinion, of all time, Roger Ebert, who, when he was reviewing The Brown Bunny at Cannes, said, I had a colonoscopy once. They let me watch it on a television screen and it was better than The Brown Bunny. We have been Mark and Jack. Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to Hedda. Thank you to Charlotte. Thank you to Latitude. Thank you to everybody who's helped put the show together. Have a lovely festival. Jack will be too famous to be here next year, so thank you for coming.
Thank you so much, everybody. Enjoy the festival.
Well, there we are. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Kermode on Film. I thought that went pretty well.
Yeah. I think for a live show, like I think it's sort of maybe what could be a live show in the future, like maybe a tour.
Well, I think we benefited from the fact that we had a very good audience.
Yes, we did. It was
They
lovely.
were very responsive. They were certainly very vocal about the James Bond things.
Yes.
Also, a lot of love in the crowd for Jack Howard.
Yeah, I was not expecting that.
Were they all your family?
I'd hired them to be there. Yeah, it was lovely, and it was a great show. I hope you've enjoyed listening to it / watching it if you are watching it. There'll be more Kermode on Film soon, but also
if you want to hear me and Simon Mayo, Kermode and Mayo's Take is available wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you so much for this. We'll be back next year unless Jack has become too famous, in which case it'll just be me.
Which is what everyone wants, really.
You say that, but honestly, from the response of the crowd, it's just not true. I was actually starting to feel quite hurt that nobody said I love you.
I love you.
Don't touch me.
Okay.
I don't like it.
I'm sorry.